4 times 14 times 27 times 16 times 12 equals... Welcome to the news, welcome to the news, welcome to the news. So what we've got is a significant equation that makes no actual sense when it comes down to logic and normal things in normal life. But we're just going to put it out there anyway to be able to try to develop a bit of an equation that doesn't have to do with day-to-day life, but let's go for it anyway. So what we're trying to conceptualize is a collateral vault mindset, which has to do with something which relates to being able to lean back on something that is functional and not really caring about what's going on beyond the thing that is functioning. And so therefore you can just kind of go for it and just kind of throw things to the wall and hope they work out, but it doesn't necessarily have to matter. Kind of like having one thing on your plate and you know your stomach's going to be full if you eat that thing. But there's like 10 other things in the refrigerator that you could add to as little garnishes to the thing that you're eating as the main course of your plate. And yeah, you go ahead and you go to the refrigerator and you make that connection to be able to get the things in the refrigerator. Or maybe it's a little bit more complicated than that to get the 10 things in the refrigerator, and it's like a symbol, and you have to go through an obstacle course to get to the refrigerator to be able to try to get those 10 things, and you really want them, and they're really tasty, and they're really good, but you know, no matter what, you're going to eat food because you've already got something on your plate. Whoa. And you don't maybe necessarily feel like going through the obstacle course, but maybe you do, and maybe you'll just go for the obstacle course anyways. You'll go for that Ninja Warrior obstacle course to get the 10 things in the fridge because it'll enhance your meal so much more significantly. And so with that mindset, you want to transpose your original main course of just the base entree that is on your plate, and you want to try to add garnishes and a little bit of side dish to what you've got on your plate. So you're going to go for the obstacle course. You go through the Ninja Warrior obstacle course, and you go through the tucks and turns and twists and flying over with a lasso that you must tie to your elbow to be able to swing across a bunch of chutes and ladders to be able to get to the other side in a shortcut before you have to go to sleep. And so you've got to do it within a certain time frame. So, yeah, it's just kind of making it a little bit strange and interesting, but you've got that transposition, conceptualization, but the base framework has to do with something that revolves around not losing, not being able to lose, because you know no matter what, you're going to be able to eat, you're going to be able to get something to eat because you've already got something on your plate. And adding something else to it is kind of fun and interesting because you can go through that obstacle course because you know that you don't have to go through the obstacle course, but you can because it might be fun. It might be interesting just to try it out, but you know you're not going to go hungry necessarily as a result because you've already got something on your plate. Oh, that's called the transposition mindset. In essence, when you don't necessarily have to rely on something for survival, but you get to try just because it's kind of for fun and you can kind of go for it. And you can conceptually transpose with a higher value because you've got, in essence, nothing that you feel that you have to lose, because no matter if you leave your plate, something's not gonna fall off your plate because it's just gonna sit on the table in the kitchen while you go and do the obstacle course. So that transposing mindset is the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is something called infinite banking. Infinite banking. Whoa. Infinite banking has to do with the type of mindset where you develop equations that go on the front and the back side of assets and liabilities, and you go back and forth, leaning on each other, developing your own equations within insular equations that develop math within equations that only have to do with yourself, so you don't have to consult other people. You get to use the energy of monetary energy, for example, and the activation of monetary energy to be able to cause actions, and also cause actions within the monetary framework of an insular thermonuclear system in of itself that causes its own energy motion in of itself, just like any other molecular equation or just like any chemical equation. There's certain chemicals that cause certain causes and effects, and using that cause and effect system, it's possible to develop trapdoors and energy systems, just like a mousetrap, in essence, or you know what I mean, like one of those weird systems that have marbles that go down the infinite systems of marbles, then it shoots back up in the cup, and all of it is very thermodynamically secure because it just is a process that works in a certain systematic functioning way, and it's tested by an engineering type of precision type of mindset, which I do not have one of those mindsets, by the way. And so moving on, we're connecting the infinite banking mindset. You're gonna have to look up the concept of what that means, which just means the ability to try to be able to transpose conceptual numbers and conceptual energies back and forward, and something is something of like a collateral mindset. Collateral vault mindset is like is like a symbol for this type of equation thinking as well. A collateral vault mindset is like developing different systems where you can test different systems in life by developing the concept that you've got something in place, and then so you can test the frameworks of other equations because you're just testing it, you're trying it out, and you're learning. You need to continue that learning, that science, that's the science learning to be able to try other systems, to be able to make them flow in a circle. So we're combining the collateral vault mindset with infinite banking, with transposing cash flow to try to be able to develop a systematic process to eventually be able to get to further ourselves with Change4Games Studio, DINKY Tech and Change4Games Studios. Why am I even bringing some of these things up? Because it's like we're developing that thermonuclear system within this equation, which I'm talking about before the end of the podcast, I suppose you could say, regardless, because that persistence of the message has not reached where it's trying to go just yet. But what I was, I guess, going to try to say next is with the collateral vault mindset, with trying things in mind and not really caring where they go. That is the essence of things being able to blossom. That's being able to use the essence of the chemistry of the universe in the direction and the pipelines which it's flowing to begin with, because in essence the directions that it's flowing is significant and massive forces, and if you try to oppose a river, it's difficult to be able to try to make it work. But when you flow with it, if it's a significant river, or if it's like even like an ocean significant current type of sized river in a certain aspect of the ocean, that in essence you get to ride with it. You get to ride with that significant force, and you don't have to do a lot. You just get to sit on a paddleboard for one aspect of the ocean, and you get to ride it to another aspect of the ocean. That's like riding the existing currents within the existing currents that are around us. And so when we combine these thermonuclear systems, which is just a fancy word of saying like an enclosed system, like a system that's within like an encasing, basically, that's like thermonuclearly not influenced by outside elements. In other words, it's like an ongoing perpetual engine, more or less, of energy. In essence, that is something that you want to try to be able to create in terms of an energy money system within of itself, to be able to try to continue to run a process for your money, so that it continues to be able to grow itself. And infinite banking is a system that is able to to be able to use and leverage that same process and that same principle of using cash flowing assets. So we're trying to transpose ourselves into cash flow, leveraging like infinite banking mindset, and collateral vault mindset, to be able to have a collateral vault, so you don't need anything necessarily, but you can transpose energies, so getting into cash flow. And that's what infinite banking in essence is all about. It's like having a flow in place, like a little bit of a river, but then you just start to break little pieces off of the river and develop little pipelines for it to go elsewhere, like in real estate, for example, which is developing additional cash flow, which develops additional energy. And so you continue to try to grow the river from itself, with cash flowing assets and transposing mindsets and collateral vault mindsets, and the essence of infinite banking. But how this corresponds to DINKY Tech and Change4Games Studios, the nature of love, and DINKY Tech and Change4Games Studios, the company, and the greater ambition to develop a philanthropy energy global grid, which develops the most philanthropy energy possible all over the whole world, which basically has to do with Mr. Beast and Beast Philanthropy, and trying to develop enough of a system so that ultimately, if we get enough of this systematization going, and we develop enough thermonuclear continuous cash flow, which we're trying to transpose with as the basis for ongoing continuous content, to also try to push the nature of this brand and the energy within that, we get to transition into Beast Philanthropy content. Beast Philanthropy content is the type of content where we have cash flow, so we're able to transition to different places in the world and try to influence local cultures by being able to develop stunts with money, in essence, but that are like a little bit different and interesting, I guess you could say, beyond some, hopefully, of what other things have been done in the past necessarily. Like there's some followers on the internet that have done certain things, like they go up to people and give them a lot of money, and then a lot of that monetary energy sort of goes into that one person, and it's a little bit different than like hosting energy that can sort of, maybe like a river, be directed into a community, for example, that didn't have a river, like our spouts. Like Mr. Beast has done a lot of spouts. He's done a lot of water digging up, a lot of water spigot digging up in different places around the world, where in rural places where it's significantly needed. And that's the type of content which we are aspiring to try to make soon. And so our cash flow process and pipeline and energy equation reevaluation has to do with continually trying to rebrand and rechange and reconfigure and repivot to be able to try to develop more beast philanthropy energy. And finally, the way that this equation all comes together into one equal sign, like what this all equals in the end, is in essence like developing a new brand on top of the religion, which has to do with Buddha and Buddhism, which is a significant religion in the far east of the world that in essence has to do with Buddha basically as the centerpiece, as the primary focal energy, and that surrounding energy is similar to the infinite banking energy that I was referring to begin with. That infinite banking energy has to do with like a thermonuclear system that in essence is developing, that's developed in of itself, and it rides the essence of nature, similar to a collateral vault, but it's like collateral vault is more about trying things in life, but it's like energy that's held in place in essence to be able to hold it for you, but at the same time it gives you the opportunity to go and try things, and that's in essence what the combination of that times infinite banking times the system is all about in terms of developing a rebranding of the Buddha energy and a remarketing and in essence for the Buddha energy in the Far East, in essence, like because the DINKY, TehC, and change4games Studios energy aligns with the Buddha energy for the Buddhist religion, in essence, or I wouldn't call it a religion, I would call it a spiritual energy based upon the practices and the teachings that are sourced from that part of the world, and where it is directly, in many instances, focused in that part of the world. So with that in mind, a rebrand of the Buddhism industry, not the Buddhism industry, but the Buddhism religion, the Buddhism spirituality source and resource is what this podcast is all about. We're taking the nature of Buddhism and the nature of the existence and the significance of the endless eternal flow and global connection and sort of undertones of the spirituality and the eternal energy that is based on and within the leader and the primary focal character, almost mascot, which is Nichiren Dohan, I think his name is. Nonetheless, Myoho Renge Kyo is the primary focused words to be able to say, to be able to develop a lot of positive energy in essence. And those words, in essence, are kind of like that thermonuclear dynamic equation almost in of itself, which has to do with energy that's like repurposing, but has to do with the energy of the universe, and it's flowing within the energy of the universe. So that's what DINKY, TehC, and change4games Studios is all about as well. That's what DINKY, TehC, and change4games Studios originated for. That's what DINKY, TehC energy is all about. That's what change4games Studios is all about, is trying to make the world into a place which is like an amusement park where all people get to play in the Buddhism amusement park in essence. It's taking that same energy and it's developing and decorating once that mindset is adapted for the whole world to become like a Buddhism amusement park in essence, because that's once the transpositions of mindsets happens, it's like seeing things in a different way. It's like everything changing in a certain respect based on a certain level of a certain aspect of gratitude, just based on the essence of living, for just trying to see the world as like a skate park, the world as like an amusement park in essence, more or less, kind of, somewhat, kind of. And that's how skateboarders also envision like streets and things when they walk around. It's a transposition of mindsets to begin with. It's not a transposition of actual energy or chemistry. It's a transposition of value systems, of value. Value, in essence, is the essence of money. In essence, price doesn't always equal value in business. I'll say it again a couple of times, maybe a multitude of times. Price does not always equal value in business. It's one of the most significant ways to be able to actually try to gain wealth or more money, more or less, sometimes for what it's worth, one way or another, because perceived value is what people are buying, in essence, oftentimes. So certain value, decorated to make it look like it's more value, perceived value, increases an actual value that can be traded for the value of something for a certain monetary price, for example. So with that in mind, it is a matter of acknowledging value systems, and developing new value systems, growing into new value systems based on energy that spans and spawns the world. And a rebranding for the Buddhism, spirituality, religion, in essence, is what almost like DINKY, TehC, and change4games Studios is. So we're like kind of like rebranding the Buddhist spirituality energy. Rebranding the Buddhist spirituality energy so that the whole world is like an amusement park. And that's why yesterday we were talking about something called a spreadboard, which is like a sled. It's basically a sled, like a snow sled, that has 4 rollerblade wheels on it to be able to ride around with an electrical little motor, so that it's fun and dandy and you can drive around and have a good time on a snow sled. Even when it's streets outside, you can ride the concrete jungle on a snow sled with 4 rollerblade wheels, because it's a lot of fun, and that whole sliding dynamic is lots of good times. And especially when you get to bring that into the street, it makes the whole world like an amusement park. Basically, if everybody's going down the street with little sleds and toboggans and things like that, it makes the whole world a whole lot more like an amusement park. And then therefore, it's like we're rebranding the Buddhist energy. Yeah. Oh, whoa, yeah. And also, the Beast Philanthropy content is like a way to be able to just try to document journalism in the process of developing more of a world that revolves around a Mr. Beast-like content, which has Mr. Beast philanthropy type content, which has to do with developing more positive situations for people around the whole world. And that's also similar and aligned to Buddhist energy, doing good things for people, doing good things for good things for people. It's good things that also has to do with philanthropy energy. Philanthropy energy is aligned with Buddhist energy as well. Buddhist energy is aligned with philanthropy energy. Philanthropy energy, doing good for people, spreading good, looking beyond the self to be able to try to spread value and add value to the global ecosystem, to be able to try to enhance a process where energy is spread and people are hopefully gaining sunshine and awareness and positivity through the use and the guise of being able to embrace this mindset. Yeah. And so when we rebrand the Buddhism energy, we have something that is similar to DINKY and change4games studios. Yeah. And we want to take this mindset and sort of reconfigure it so that it can last in an ongoing sense, in a perpetual sense, just like the Buddhist energy, because he's still around, even though he was around 3,000 years ago, and now we're updating the whole process. But not to say that we are like Buddha at all. It's its own energy. DINKY Tech is its own energy. It has to do with every human being as a kid. That's basically the basis for DINKY Tech energy, more or less, which has to do with a black lab dog. That's the actual basis for the energy. So a black lab dog that would chase around tennis balls all the time, from birth until death, more or less. So with that in mind, it's all about chasing balls. It's all about chasing the goals of the balls that make us happy, in essence, as people, all 8 billion people, to be able to do that while causing philanthropy at the same time, while causing voluntourism at the same time, which many people do for their vacations, but making voluntourism the new branded type of getting around and traveling and having good times by developing and paving new roads for all people, all 8 billion people in the world, to be able to have a new value system to gain the most value in the whole world, collectively making 8 billion people all have a good time at the same time. Yeah. And that, therefore, is a matter of rebranding and repaving the whole new world into a giant philanthropy energy system, so all people are gaining and making philanthropy energy in a cyclical cycle system at all given times in the present and the future day. So let's all work together this way. Yeah, yes. Thanks again, DINKY Tech. Peace, bye, peace. And also, if we add some cool schwag to the Buddhist energy as well, like, just by the way, like a PS, if we add a little bit of Buddhist swag to the Buddhist culture and the Buddhist energy, like stems from the Far East, where it's most popular in concept in terms of marketing, adding marketing elements to the Buddhist energy, in essence, like DINKY Tech and change4games Studios is trying to make like a clothing brand that's basically philanthropy, luxury, basically. So like DINKY Tech and change4games is the nature of the brand, in essence, to be able to develop cool clothing in the future. And so it's the same goes with the Buddhist energy rebranding and remarketing the energy using AI, for example, to be able to hopefully idealize a more sort of branded, more fashionable, more fashion conscious, more ideally fashion forward, style conscious Buddhism energy for all people in the world to be able to benefit from that as well, like a clothing brand based around Buddhism, and also cool products that are birthed from AI, and a rebranding, remarketing of many various different AI products, because there's already so many people and so much traction within the Buddhist culture that, in essence, if AI tools, and ChatGPT, for example, is able to help rebrand and remarket a lot of the Buddhist energy that's existing in a significant few million people in the Far East, if those energies can rebrand within some of those people, and some of that market traction can be able to transition and translate through that marketing, through that interesting AI product and swag and merchandise marketing to the rest of the world, then that would be a cool, interesting span of not only that spiritual energy, but also spanning that spiritual energy and the merchandising and the branding and the culturization of branding and materialism to the rest of the world in a way that's probably easier to happen than DINKY Tech and change4games Studios can do it, because they already have so much market traction in the meantime, at the current present day, as it is in the present time. Anyways, that's all for now, for reals this time. Thanks again, Dinky Tech, bye, peace, bye. Yeah, it'd be hopefully that can occur. Anyways, bye, thanks again, bye, peace, bye.